this is the Honda Passport. This is the Touring all-wheel drive edition. And of course, in this higher end trim, you get beautiful white paint. You get the piano black, your 20-inch wheels, lots and lots of features, including a sunroof. And if you look at the front, you've got the LED lights, as you'd expect. It's got a beautiful front grille. I think it's very back to basics. There's less angles than perhaps some other models in the past and some other brands. So it's going to make it easy to maintain and wash, for example, because you've got less little nooks and crannies to clean. Apart from that, so you've got good ventilation with this design that they've done. So if you like honeycombs and so forth, it kind of gives you that look. And let's go ahead and open up the hood. There's also fog lights down here. I thought I'd point out. So let's go ahead and open the hood. There you go. So again, they're using a lot of plastic. What you're going to find is this vehicle has 6-cylinder engine, and it gives you 280 horsepower. So it's a large engine, and if you're wondering why you need such a large engine, it is a very heavy vehicle. It is a mid-size SUV. And it's very deceptive when you look at it from the outside. When you go back to the trunk space, you will see that there is an enormous amount of room in there for the size. And if you're going to compare it to something like CR-V, or if you're going to go and try to compare it to Toyota, and if in your mind it kind of looks like it should be close to let's say a RAV4 or something like that, you'll be surprised by as soon as you open up the trunk to find that there's a lot of space in there. And I was not expecting that much space when I first got into Passport. All right, so let's take a look at the rear end of the vehicle. So the badging really just says Passport, and on the other end says Touring AWD. And, it's got a small badge. It does have a wiper in the back. Really appreciate the wiper in the back. Having a BZ4 right now, which doesn't have one, I find that annoying. The tailpipes are chrome. That's really nice. I find it gives it a good look. And to open it, you're basically going to either want to press the button in here, or of course you could activate it with your foot if you can find the right spot for it. And I'm just going to go ahead and press the button to save us all a little bit of time and awkward moments. So as you can tell, look at how much room you have. You can literally have an extra dog now if you only had two. Well, here you go. Here's your chance to get an extra one just to fill up the space. So you're getting, on paper, as I've mentioned, I've looked at it versus the CR-V, and I was under the impression it was going to be less roomy, which clearly I was wrong. What's of note here in the back is, so you've got the ability to get the seats, 60-40, as you might guess, simply by pressing here. It releases it, as I've just done. The other thing is, on the other side, I actually have a power outlet, which has 12 volts. So it's one of those cigarette lighter type of plugs. So you've got that in the back. So in case you have a cooler that needs to be plugged in, for example, for long trips, you can do that. And of course, look at the cargo space. It is just amazing, especially if you were to put the seats down. So I'll put all the cubic feet cargo-wise space at the bottom of the descriptions below, and anything else that I've missed as I go around. Let's take a quick look under here. So you'll find a bit of a space here, so you can put things like brushes and whatnot. And we've got some mats in here. And the other thing you'll find is if you lift all of this, you've got a spare tire. So for those of you who cringe at making long distance travel without a spare tire, this one comes with one. It's perfect. I applaud Honda. By the way, if you like these videos, of course, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. That really helps us out, especially a small channel like ours. And we especially want to send a thank you to Honda Canada for providing this vehicle for the review today. So let's go ahead and look at the inside. We're going to go ahead and close this. So the power mechanism in here is relatively fast compared to some of the other brands out there. First thing you'll notice is the door is open quite a bit, so you've got a good angle. If you have children and you've got car seats and all that kind of stuff, you'll find that it's very easy to get in and out. It'll be very easy to assist them as well. So at that point, all you have to do is go ahead and have a seat to show you how much room I have. So the first thing you'll notice is there's a lot of leg room, and there's a lot of headroom and leg room. So you can see I'm 5'11", and that's plenty. And of course, it's really nice is you can adjust the seats as well. So these leather seats are quite comfortable. And now, since you can adjust them till about here, it should make very long trips very comfortable. The seats are a little bit on the harder side, which is actually what you want if you're going to do a longer trip with these. Now, to top it all off, not only do you have space for your tablets or your electronics here, but there's lots of places for things like cups and soda cans and whatnot. There's not enough here on the side for you because you only get 2, right? Well, there's extra ones here as well. So you're pretty much good for a long road. And let's talk a little bit about ventilation. Not only do you have ventilation in the back, as you can see by these 2 vents here, but you also have control of the temperature, so you can, turn them on. You can make it colder, hotter, and so forth. Adjust the fan from the back. That's a very nice touch. And of course, you've got, since it's the higher end trim, you've got the heated seats in the back to boot. So on the bottom, you've got an AC. So in this case, it's not a 12 volt. This is a 115 volt. So you've got a standard plug in the back. That's really nice. So if you've got electronics or anything that you need to recharge, there you go. And you've got 2 USB plugs as well. So in case you have, things like iPhones and whatnot, you can go ahead and plug them in there. So that's really nice. I mean, this is really functional, lots of room. And even if you were to incline all the way to the back, there's so much room back there, you probably won't even notice it much. So let's go ahead and take a look at the front. So here we are in the front. First thing you'll notice is you've got some very nice seats, nice and comfortable. They're a bit on the firm side. Again, they're great for longer trips. It's all electrical, and since it is the higher end, you've got leather, so there's leather everywhere, and everything is touch, soft touch. So you've got power seats, and you also have memory on the seats. So you've got 2 drivers that you can program. So this way you get the proper seating arrangements. You can jump in and out. It's quite easy. Press the button and there it is. Apart from that, there's lots of rooms. There's different cavities inside the door. There's 2 cup holders. There's I like to call it a cavern. There's a huge console space here in the middle. And that allows you to plug in things in there as well. So I've got my keys in there right now. But you've got USB, you've got an audio port, and you've got a 12-volt plug in there, as you have in the front all the way over here. So you've got the 12-volt, 180-watt mix, and you've got USB. So you can plug in your phone through a wire, if you so choose, to charge it. You also have, make sure that you've got this in your trim, but this is a charging pad, so it's basically put in your phone there. And most of us will connect our phones through Bluetooth, so at that point you just get in the car, you simply drop it on the pad, it charges as you drive. Now the rest is pretty simple. The environment, the audio and all that is pretty straightforward, heat and so forth. Very, very easy to reach. Everything's within reach at all times. The center console here, so there's no lever to push or whatnot. What you've got are this, more modern look where you've got the park and so forth. And you simply press the button. Now, let me start the car just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek as to what that looks like. We just get rid of all the messages here. Okay, and everything will turn on in a second. So you'll find that not only do you have the dual zone as you'd find in most vehicles, but you actually have one for the rear, and which is controllable with the controls at the rear. Now, it's pretty straightforward in this case. There's not much else, but there's a bit of space here that I guess you could put some other, another phone or and so forth in there. Apart from that, you're going to find the mirror has auto dimming, so that's a really, really nice feature. I always insist on having that on any new vehicle that I get. Just once if you drive a lot at night, it's really a godsend. I really appreciate that feature. And you've got on the bottom the extra buttons. You'll question perhaps what those are for if you haven't seen those before. It's a garage door opener, so you can have multiple garage programmed in here. So instead of having to have a clicker or one of those things, you basically just press the button and it opens up your garage. Apart from that, you've got a nice screen in front of you. They've kept 2 analog only features, which is the heat, so it shows you the heat of the engine, and also the fuel gauge on the right side. Apart from that, the rest of the display is pretty straightforward. You've got your RPMs on the very top, and then your kilometers per hour or miles per hour as a big digital number in the front, and you've got your info below that. You can program, of course. So most of the controls are on the steering wheel, so you've got access to things like phone controls, and of course you can also change what you're seeing in front of you with the left side here. And you can, of course, while you're listening to music or podcasts, or or if you're going to go into the Sirius XM, for example, you can change the stations and the volume all within reach on your steering wheel. And of course, you've got a heated steering wheel and you've got heated seats in the front. So it's got a great big glove compartment as well, so you can go ahead and put things in there. And the other nice feature, there's a few features, and again, check, because depending on what country you're in, I don't know if these come standard in all the countries or if it's strictly, some markets. You've got an assist button there. You may need a subscription. It may come with the vehicle for a period of time. That's, I guess it all depends on, when you purchase it and where you purchase it from. So take a look at that, but that's one of the features. The other thing too is you do have a place for your glasses, so if you want to put that. And they've gone ahead and put a little mirror here. So if you wanted to see, if you've got a 2-year-old that's throwing a tantrum or something's going on in the back, you can use this mirror to take a look at the back and view what is going on. So the sunroof controls are quite easy. Push a button and it opens and closes. So there's not much there. The rest, you're going to find, little lights in here. That's very, very standard in most cars. So I'm not going to go through too many details on these sort of things. So apart from that, most of the security features are pretty easy to use and are getting more and more standard and all these things. One thing to note is the blind spot monitoring it doesn't put a little icon in your mirror. It actually puts it here in this little square. So you're gonna see a little light turn on here or on the other side, and that's where it tells you that there is a vehicle right next to you. So if you're looking at the mirrors in this car, this model, it's here instead of on the mirror. Now the rest, lane departure and so forth, cruise control, and of course you can control how far back you are from the car and so forth. This is all built in the steering wheel, pretty easy to use. And of course it will also detect, so there's this collision avoidance, which I got to see a little light at some point. Somebody braked in front of me pretty aggressively, and I got a little warning in front saying, hey, someone is braking. So I was able to see that. Now, from a fuel mileage, I'm not going to tell you right now what is on the official, but I can tell you that from driving it around, we got between 8.5 on the highway to about 11. I think I just saw it there. 11 point. It's been sitting idle, but about 11 or so doing city driving. So it's pretty reasonable for this size of an SUV. And I think with the comfort and all the great driving that we're getting out of it, it's very comfortable, and I think it's certainly very acceptable from a fuel mileage point of view. So you'll notice going over bumps, this feels more like a truck than it does a luxury sedan or luxury SUV. It's stiffer. It's very responsive though. The steering is very responsive, like most Hondas. The brakes are very good for the weight of the car. All right, so let's accelerate and see what this feels like. So it's got very good acceleration. course, you can feel the 6-cylinder engine really kick in there. And the transmission is very smooth. So let's take a look at the backup camera. So it's an acceptable size. And of course, there's different modes to it. And this thing's pretty large, so it certainly helps to have all the different views. Let's go ahead and go a little faster on the way back. And one of the comments I wanted to make is regarding the overall feel. We're very well seated. It's very sure-footed. So obviously with the all-wheel drive certainly helps. I mean, there's no storms or anything right now that I can really test it in. So there's no snow or anything like that. Now the wind noise is relatively okay. I mean, compared to some of the more luxury models out there, you're going to find this is a bit more road noise. Of course, I do have the winter tires on this vehicle right now, so they're not as quiet or as smooth as the summer tires would be. But overall, I would say it's very acceptable, and it doesn't really bother you driving-wise. Of course, when you're used to driving smaller cars, you're going to find that you have this feeling that you're using up a lot more of the lane. It is slightly larger than some other cars, and it certainly is higher. So when you're outside, if you're standing next to it, you'll notice that it has a lot more height to it. So overall, it does have bigger dimensions in all dimensions compared to a CR-V or the smaller SUVs. I'm Bob Pellerin, CTOBOB. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave us some comments below. We love reading those. And of course, you can always visit us at www.ctobob.com. Be sure to tune into the next video, and we'll see you then.